Hey everyone, it's Racz. Welcome back to the channel, and if you've seen a video or two of mine and you haven't subscribed yet, please click that subscribe little icon of me holding the fish. If you would, it'd be great. What we're talking today is I've got three different reels. They're very distinct, three different price points, and the reason why I kind of wanted to do an article about this, it's kind of a crazy thing. I wrote an article about gear ratios and spools and it never made it into print, and it was bugging me. I'm like, I don't know, I need to get this information out there somehow. So the first one I'll talk about is this Pflueger Arbor right here, and I think this reel sells for $79. It comes with two spools. It's got a graphite frame, aluminum handle, and what makes this reel unique is it has a really low gear ratio. If you're running crankbaits early or late in the year, you're really going to be able to dig them down with this, and also you are going to be able to reel in inline spinners really slow. I've just begun experimenting with this reel, but the one thing I wanted to note is I can't get any more distance with this Arbor than any other reel that I own. So note that I can't get distance with it. Maybe you can, but I don't think you can. These were really popular a few years ago. US Reel came out with the first one. The US Reel, they had a big batch of defective ones, so you don't hear too much about US Reel anymore. But at any rate, Pflueger Arbor, low gear ratio, early, late in the year, and it is kind of unique because it's pretty light for the spool size you get in the frame. It's a unique reel. But what I tend to use year round more and more are the Daiwas that are around 2500, but I don't have any Daiwas out here for a change because I'm going to talk about different reels. So this is a top of the line, first gen, premier Revo. This, for 6, 8, 10 pound tests, it's going to hold around 175, 200 yards of 8. What makes a top of the line, top dollar reel click, is you've got, this thing is nano fused, like this body against chips. And it's got stainless steel, one-piece gearbox around it, stainless steel on the inside, carbon max drag. The gearing isn't particularly tight, but it's really, really super, super consistent. I mean, you don't feel any, for a reel this light, you don't feel anything hitting the stem up in here. You don't feel any flex or anything like that. So it's a reel that's meant to work the long term. Now, a reel this size, honestly, spring, summer, fall in the Midwest, or if you fish Northwest, maybe probably even the East Coast, Midwest, East Coast, North, 6 to 10 pounds, 6.5, 6 foot to 7 foot medium light. I've caught on a reel spool about that size. I've caught my biggest spring crankbait bass. I've caught my biggest crappie. My crappie that I caught on it was on a 5-inch plastic on a reel that size. My most pounds of bass cranking. So I always, maybe 1 or 2 times if I'm like experimenting with like stitching or something. I mean, but pretty much I may have always taken one of these out. I mean, it may have been years since I haven't used a reel this size. So you got a mid-size spool, versatile. What it doesn't excels at versatility. When the weeds get up and you're trying to get around bass and hit deeper drop-offs, it kind of loses its effectiveness. I mean, you really, really, really got to crank to get line in. But I mean, for versatility and function, I would recommend a reel that size. And you don't have to get a $300 reel. I'm just showcasing different price points. And then finally, this is the least expensive reel. It's a out of production Cabela's 40 size Pro Guide. And this would be like your biggest freshwater spool. And I may do something on economy reels in the future, but this is like an economy reel. But it has an aluminum handle, graphite spool, and almost like a saltwater quality drag. I mean, it really is amazing. I mean, it's got a ton of stopping power. So I mean, you don't always have to spend a lot of money to get a lot, And I don't know who makes this. It looks like it could be an Okuma design, but I mean, it's a fully loaded economy reel with that thick bale wire, good drag, great balance, unbelievable smoothness. Maybe not the most consistent. Again, non-economy reel, you can feel it bend down in the stem a little bit, but not a whole heck of a lot. This is a really impressive reel. I really like this. So this is for mostly 7-foot casting, bigger plastics, bigger jigs. A little bit too high of a gear ratio for crankbaits, but it's a 491, so it's kind of low. It's kind of on the lower end for this size. Usually I run like a Summit XT, or not a Summit, a President Supreme XT. So the gear ratios and spools, again, this is super low. A lot of torque. A lot of cranking power, probably your most under-recognized thing on a lower gear ratio reel. They all used to be low gear ratios back in the day for the most part, but still using that for experimentation. Bread and butter 2500 reel, probably not leaving home without it. And you've got your 4000 size, which I'm using for, longer casts with plastics, working deeper structures. I want to get out quick, I want to get in quick, I want to start hitting those pockets and things along those lines. So those are some reels at different price points. In the future, maybe I'll do what to look for like in an economy reel type of an episode, clip I should say. But it's been a while since I've gotten anything out there. I'm going to be fishing later on this week, running some cranks. This should be good. Time to get some bass. So I've been getting a lot of views and subscribers, and as always, this channel's about you, trying to put out, useful original information out there and fishing footage and stuff like that. So the channel is always about you, and thanks to those that have subscribed. Please consider clicking that little button if you have not. And it's 103 degrees right now where they're playing the World Series. Nice and cool in my room here with the reels. Take care, and thank you always.